we're just waiting for answers.
It's been a tumultuous 5 years for Brandon Bevers.
Having this being prolonged it's been very difficult for us and the kids and Missy's family in particular.
On April 18th, 2016, Brandon's wife and mother of his 3 daughters, Missy Bevers, arrived at the Creekside Church in Midlothian around 4:30 a.m. to prepare for her Camp Gladiator class. 30 minutes later, her students walked in to find Missy dead. Brandon was on an annual fishing trip in Biloxi, Mississippi, when he got a call from one of Missy's students who was at the church.
He told me, he said, Missy's no longer with us. And I didn't know.
As he made his way back to Texas, police in Midlothian were on the scene and stunned at what was captured on video cameras inside the church. A suspect roaming around dressed in what looked like police SWAT gear.
It certainly is a strange occurrence at this time of morning for a church to be burglarized early in the morning.
That same day, Chief Carl Smith released the video.
That was something we wanted to push out as early as possible so that we could deal with it up front.
Police wanted the community to take a close look at how the person was dressed and how they walked. The video went viral and the department was swamped with thousands of tips.
Because it grabbed the nation's interest, it was a mass amount of data coming in from incredible sources.
Police who didn't go on camera escorted an ATF K-9 team into the Creekside Church of Christ to look for any clues.
Federal, state, and local agencies poured over the tips and evidence, but none of it has panned out.
It is difficult to believe that 5 years later that we haven't made an arrest.
To this day, police aren't able to say if the suspect is a man or a woman.
I just assumed it was a guy, you know, it's just kind of a generic painting of the brush on that, but I think it's a woman. I definitely think it's a woman.
That's another one that is very difficult to tell because of the clothing. It doesn't accentuate any type of feature, it hides features.
The video shows the suspect was in the church at least 30 minutes before Missy arrived. At first, it looked like a burglary, but nothing was stolen.
The fact that this person was willing to spend the time to dress up and overcome being on video, those kinds of things, that tells me that there's a little aspect of vindictiveness in that.
But who would want to kill the young mother of 3 who by all accounts was loved in the community?
She was awesome. She was really sweet. You could tell she was humble.
Brandon at first wanted to believe this was a random act, but over the years has changed his opinion.
I've flip-flopped on this over the years, but I can only offer an opinion based on insight, and I kind of feel she was targeted.
Police have looked at several persons of interest. In fact, Brandon and his father were investigated. It's taken a toll.
You know, I've been through counseling. I've had psychiatric treatments for PTSD and anxiety and things like that.
Police say without a suspect, it's been hard to come up with a motive or even a theory on what happened and why Missy was murdered.
I would tell you that we have not ruled out or confirmed one path or the other.
The department is still treating this like an active investigation and not a cold case. They've hired new detectives to take a fresh look at the evidence and re-interview the witnesses. Meanwhile, one of Missy's former co-workers started a podcast a year ago to keep the case in the public eye.
I think fresh eyes is always helpful. You know, sometimes you can look at something so long that it makes you dizzy or cross-eyed, and then somebody else comes along and goes, right there.
But with little evidence, will there ever be justice for Missy?
Do you think it will be solved?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
As time goes on, Brandon Bevers says he holds on to the memories and still has the last message Missy left on his phone the night before she was killed.
Does it comfort you?
It does, because when you hear it, it embodies her personality, you know? And that's what I remember the most.
In Midlothian, I'm Rebecca Lopez.